For most of his career, Kevin Costner wasn't just a movie star. He was Hollywood's definition of a good man, calm, professional, dependable. But behind that steady exterior, he has carried a far darker truth than anyone imagined. Over the years, Costner has quietly identified 9 actors whom he believes were genuinely destructive people. Not rivals, not competitors, but people hired to work alongside him who, in his view, ultimately betrayed trust and poisoned everything around them. The question remains whether these actors were truly monsters, or whether Costner failed to see the danger growing inside his own circle. What follows reshapes how many people see these names forever. The first on Costner's list is the name of Marlon Brando. Brando was the legend Costner avoided like fire. You start with the most famous name Costner refused to stand beside, and you land directly on the man Hollywood worshipped for decades. A lot of people reduce Brando's reputation to being difficult. The truth, according to people who worked anywhere near him, was far worse. He was a walking storm, and Costner wanted nothing to do with it. Producers who worked with both men remembered that Costner backed away from Brando as early as 1986, when Brando's team floated his name for the role of Al Capone in The Untouchables. What unsettled Costner wasn't Brando's talent. It was the trail of destruction he left behind. Brando, on Apocalypse Now in the Philippines, arrived nearly 100 pounds overweight and refused to wear costumes. He demanded that the ending be rewritten at the base camp and made Francis Ford Coppola shoot around his tantrums. Crew members still remember the night when he threw pages of dialogues into the river and told people that he would not say a single line he hadn't personally approved. Years later, while filming the score in Montreal, Brando publicly humiliated director Frank Oz by referring to him as Miss Piggy in front of the cast and ultimately refusing to take direction unless someone else delivered it. That was allegedly the moment when Costner privately said, "That energy ruins everything around it." Costner wasn't jealous of Brando. He hated the mess. What was surprising was that Hollywood continued to condone Brando's antics, while Costner purposely kept miles away, determined never to share a frame with him. The next name on the list was Madonna, according to Costner. She was the woman who took what was merely a harmless compliment and transformed it into public humiliation. Madonna is the only one on this list that didn't require weeks, months, or even a film set to make Kevin Costner dislike her. She managed it in less than 30 seconds. Their clash happened backstage at the Los Angeles Sports Arena in 1990 during her Blonde Ambition tour. Costner offered what he thought to be a harmless enough compliment. "Your show was neat." That was all that was required. When Costner had exited the room, Madonna turned to the camera crew filming Truth or Dare and, sticking 2 fingers into her mouth as if gagging, rolled her eyes and said, "Anyone who says my show is neat has to go." She playfully ridiculed him directly. The crew laughed. The footage would later play in theaters around the world. Costner saw none of it coming. He came in as a fan showing respect. She made him a punchline. Costner didn't blow up or fight back. It was never his style. But when Barbara Walters asked him in 1991 about the incident, he gave a pursed smile and a quiet sentence that hit harder than any insult could. "I don't care much for her." For a man who rarely publicly tore into anyone, that was a straight-on condemnation. Madonna never apologized, and Kevin Costner never forgot it. Hollywood learned the quieter lesson that Madonna turned even politeness into ammunition. Another name on the list of Costner was Bruce Willis. He was the man Costner avoided long before they ever shared a set. Bruce Willis had a reputation that reached Costner years before any collaboration was discussed, and that reputation was so toxic that Costner flatly refused to engage with him. The dislike began as Costner heard story after story from sets across Los Angeles in the late 1980s and early 1990s. At ABC Studios in Burbank on Moonlighting, Willis was notorious for explosive clashes with Sybil Shepherd. Crew members would talk about days where production simply shut down because Willis was angry over lighting or dialogue, or because he just wasn't being respected enough. The directors did, too. Kevin Smith would later call working with Willis soul-crushing. Producers said he wouldn't shoot coverage, Assistants said he would walk off sets if something didn't go his way. The moment that sealed Costner's opinion reportedly came in 2010, when a mutual colleague recounted Willis smashing a prop desk during a disagreement, then bragging, "They know they can't fire me." Costner's reaction was blunt and final. "There's no room for people who destroy sets just to prove a point." That line wasn't casual commentary. It was a boundary. Costner operates in controlled environments where respect means something. Willis, to him, came across like a wrecking ball. Hollywood tried to put the two together multiple times. Costner said no every time, not out of any fear, but he wasn't about to clean up someone else's emotional debris. The next name on Costner's list was Alec Baldwin, the man who made him question Hollywood's moral compass. Where discipline follows Kevin Costner, trouble follows Alec Baldwin. And that contrast is just where the hostility began. The breaking point for Costner came long before the Rust tragedy. In 2007, when Baldwin's furious voicemail to his 11-year-old daughter exploded across the news cycle, Costner privately asked a colleague, "How does a man talk that way to his own child?" It wasn't anger. It was disbelief. Then came the years of front-page chaos. Baldwin shoving photographers outside his Manhattan apartment, screaming at reporters, and creating such tension on the set of 30 Rock that crew members openly avoided him whenever possible. Later, crew members would admit they warned new hires to stay out of Baldwin's way. That sentence infuriated Costner when he first heard it. To him, a film set should feel like a workplace, not a minefield. The final straw came in 2018 with a Greenwich Village parking space assault. Having finally read the police report, Costner finally said what, for years, he'd avoided saying. Some men don't deserve the second chances they keep getting. The problem wasn't rivalry with Baldwin, but a lack of control, and that's the one thing Costner refused to stand beside. The next name in line for Costner was Robert Duvall. This one hurt the most. Nothing prepared Kevin Costner for the shock of discovering that Robert Duvall, a man he admired long before Open Range in 2003, would become one of the most difficult collaborators of his career. A single realization started their conflict. Duvall refused to take direction from Costner, even though Costner was the director. Trouble bubbled up nearly immediately as billing discussions began. Duvall made it clear he would not accept second position on the poster. An initially stunned Costner tried to negotiate. But Duvall shut it down so forcefully that crew members, to this day, talk about the heated meeting at the Los Angeles production office. One recalled hearing Duvall snap, "I don't follow anybody," before storming out. That tone carried onto the New Mexico set. During rehearsal for one of the crucial scenes, Costner suggested a slight camera move adjustment. Duvall didn't just nix it. He yelled at him in front of the entire crew, saying he knew better, and also that Costner was over-directing. Costner remained calm, but afterward told the producer, "He's the most stubborn man I've ever directed." On screen, the performances were seamless. Off camera, the partnership silently broke. They completed the film professionally, but the friendship never quite healed. Costner never extended another invitation for Duvall to work with him again, not out of spite, but because the trust between them was killed on that set. The last name in this list by Costner was Oliver Stone. Stone was the director who pushed Costner to his limit. What turned JFK into a battlefield instead of a collaboration became clear almost as soon as filming began in Dallas in 1991. "I thought he wanted to tell a story, but he didn't," says Costner. He wanted to bend history until it fit his theory. Costner respected artistic freedom, but Stone's approach crossed a line he couldn't ignore. Their first big fight occurred when they were going over the script in Stone's New Orleans production office. Costner questioned a scene where certainty was portrayed as fact when, in fact, there was no basis for it. Stone blasted back immediately, pacing around the room, saying, "The audience doesn't want facts, they want truth." That distinction infuriated Costner. To him, the film carried responsibility because it dealt with a national tragedy. Tension grew daily. Stone pushed conspiracy angles harder. Costner kept asking for documentation. Crew members would later recall days when the arguments became so heated that assistant directors delayed call times. One witness remembered Stone slapping his binder onto a table and snapping, History is a narrative. I'm shaping it. Costner went his separate way from JFK, publicly supportive but privately shaken. To him, Stone represented a dangerous kind of filmmaker, one who'd warp reality to win an argument. Their professional respect survived, but Costner never sought another project with him. Now that you've heard Costner's truth, what do you think? Were these actors truly evil, or was Hollywood hiding something even darker? Let us know below, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share for more stories like this one.